Welcome everyone. My name is Mickey, and today my co-host will be Zach. And today we're going to be doing the advanced version of the membership management and RI integration webinar. I want to thank you for joining us. I just want to take care of a few small little housekeeping items. First is this webinar tends to be slightly longer. We're going to try and cover as many points as possible today. I absolutely want to try to leave as much time as I can to Zach to answer Q&A. Now, speaking of Q&A, in this Zoom session, there's a Q&A button which loads the Q&A section of Zoom. During this webinar, if you have any questions, if I'm going over something and you're not quite sure, or you want to ask a question, please put all your questions in the Q&A box, and we will. Zach is going to answer live. He's also might reserve some questions to answer at the end of our session. We're going to have our, I guess we'll call it the formal session, where I'll be presenting. And then I'm going to switch off to Zach, where he'll be doing the Q&A session. But please click the little Q&A box. There's a special caveat specifically for today's webinar. It's only for this R integration webinar, which is we're using our development environment to show you the test data. We don't normally do this because the development environment can be sometimes a little bit fragile. So we're going to keep going today. Fingers crossed, everything appears to be working right now. If there are any issues, we will absolutely deal with them during the webinar. What I'm going to do is I just want to go over a bit of what the topics we're going to be covering, and I'll jump right into it. So today we're going to be talking specifically about the RI integration section of a club level website. Okay, so we'll be covering exclusively club level today. We're going to be reviewing the club and membership archive. We're going to be talking about compare and synchronize, both the member compare and sync, as well as the executives compare and sync. And I always like putting and more ... because whatever we can cover in the time allotted is what we will try and get to. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to log in to our website. Now, we won't be covering any login or anything like that today. So I've actually already logged in to a club website. And for today's session, as you can see, I'm actually logged in as a site administrator. I guess right off the bat, make sure that you have correct access levels. In other words, if you're trying to follow along and you have some grayed out menu items, it's probably because you don't have the correct access level. Now, normally we kind of go into a bit more detail about access levels. I'm not going to go into too much detail about some of the topics that we covered in our beginner webinars, only because of the depth and breadth of our integration today. So I would like to say, please make sure you have the correct access level in order to access our integration. Generally speaking, that means you're a website admin or you're a club executive. If you are a regular member, access level 70, pretty much most of the things we're covering today, you won't be able to follow along. So make sure you're the correct access level. I'm a site admin. I have unrestricted access to the club website. So what I'm going to do is now this is, when I log in, this is my administration page. I really like using the top blue tabs because the admin page, if you use it, you'll leave and go on to the next section. The top blue tabs, they kind of stay as you navigate around the website. So today we're going to be talking first about the membership list, because everything is going to pertain to the member list. Using the top blue tabs, admin, my club runner, communication, and so forth, I'm going to click on membership, and I want to take you to the active members list. So I'm going to click here on the members list. Okay, the members list lists all your active, honorary, and also any special custom active member types you might have. There are newer, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just going to click the go back. Okay. I'm a little bit glad this actually happened. We may see a bit more of this. I mentioned in the beginning of this webinar that this development environment is not as stable as our regular club websites. This is our development team uses this to constantly test everything. So we may see a few more little error codes as we go. This is, I guess I'll have to say this is a normal part of the development environment. It's just kind of, we don't have a production website where we can show our integration because we are, all the data you're seeing today is false. There's no actual member data that's going to be revealed for this webinar. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat what I did. I clicked on membership and I clicked on members list, and it takes me here to the active members list. Okay, and you've got all your active and honorary members. As you can see, I can scroll down. You know, I have some honorary, I have one honorary and some active members. It does also tell me the access levels of most of my members. You may or may not be familiar with the active members list. Now, if you're not familiar, there is a beginner webinar. This is technically part 2 of this kind of short webinar series on membership management. The previous webinar to this is the beginner webinar. So if you are not that familiar with the active member list, please do view our beginner membership management webinar, because I'm not going to spend too much time today going over the active member list. We covered this in the beginner section. So here's our active member list. It lists all our members. That's wonderful. I will say, just in a short summary, the whole point of RI integration is that you, the user, inputs a membership info once into the club runner system, and that's it. And it syncs between the club, and if the district is a club runner subscriber, it'll sync to the district. And if our integration is turned on, as we're going to see for today's webinar, it will also sync to Rotary International. So you input once, and if all goes well, it will sync in 3 places: club, district, and Rotary International. So what I do want to do is I want to mention kind of a metaphor we use. But so what we're going to do is we're going to move away from the active members list, because I just want to show you that this is really the big portion of, or this is what we're doing here. We're trying to sync all the information here, all the membership info, and we're trying to automatically sync it to Rotary International. Let's go see our our integration setup. So I'm going to hover over our integration, and I'm going to click on our integration settings. Okay. So first thing we're just going to talk about very briefly is, what is our integration? So our integration essentially means you input something at the club level, and it will automatically sync through to district and Rotary International. For all of those who are viewing today, and you may not have a club runner club level website, this is a Rotary club website. If you don't have a club level site, then most or all of what you're going to see today applies to the district level website. You're going to log in to the district website, and you're going to do your membership management and our integration using the district site. So let's talk a little bit about what this means. So right now, I clicked on our integration and our integration settings, and what this does is it takes me to the overall our integration settings page. You have overall settings on how to make this work. Now, I'm actually starting off turning the data integration or our integration off, because I kind of wanted to mention, okay, so we're here. If you're new, or you're new to our integration anyways, you may not see this yellow box, which will just allow you, basically, I just check this box, this little button, and I can turn on our integration. Now, yours may not be as simple. The reason for that is the steps to opt in is you have to go to Rotary International and you have to select Club Runner as your database vendor partner. What that means is you have to turn RI integration on in both databases. Turn it on at Rotary International first, wait about 24 hours, and then turn it on here in Club Runner. And Club Runner is basically just checking this box. Now, what I want to talk about is basically you have to go log in to Rotary International. And if you're new to that, or you haven't taken your executive position yet, maybe you're starting in the new Rotary year, let's actually just briefly touch on how do we actually turn this integration on. And by the way, just very important, you turn it on once. This is not something you do yearly. This is not something you have to do every time. You turn it on, you turn RI integration on once and it's done. So hopefully on your club website or district site, the integration has already been turned on for you. If it has not, what I'm going to do is I've got some tabs open. And what I want to do is I want to click here on this middle tab, and it takes me to clubrunnersupport.com. I'm actually just going to go back and we'll go to the homepage for clubrunnersupport.com. And so this is what we call our knowledge base. Anything that you find, whether it be for our integration or any Club Runner related topic, you will be able to find it here on clubrunnersupport.com. This is the place where we have literally hundreds of articles, PDFs, videos, all kinds of educational resources that will help and show you how Club Runner works. I can click here inside this How Can We Help box, and I'm going to just type RI integration setup, okay? And it will give me some search results. So I can see what I want to know is how do I set up our integration with my club or district site? And so I'm going to get various resources. If you're interested, we have some videos on this specific topic because our integration tends to be a larger topic. What I want to, this looks very interesting to me. Rotary International Integration Intro and Overview. I'm going to click this link and I'm going to load this help article. Now, I'm not going to read the whole article, but I want you to know that you can find a lot of Club Runner resources by coming to clubrunnersupport.com. So we're here on the introduction and overview page, and it goes over a lot of steps. I mentioned before that database vendor. So we actually have a little link to another article right here, how to choose your database vendor. In other words, Club Runner is a database vendor. We partner with Rotary International to sync the two databases together. There's a Club Runner database and RI database. If I click on this link, what will happen is it will take me through the, it will open a PDF, and it will, it goes over the steps on how to use myrotary.org. Okay, now once again, I'm not gonna read this entire article. I just want you to know that you can find all this information, right? So we try to give you as much as we possibly can, step-by-step instructions with screenshots. I'm going to close this browser tab. It's going to take me back to clubrunnersupport.com. And as you can see, there's several more steps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my first browser tab right here to bring me back to the member area. And what I'm not going to do is obviously read all this, but this is all documented. Everything here in step one, you can find out lots more information. So please do review our support website because we've got all kinds of articles with videos and screenshots for you to view. So our club, and by the way, this is Rotary Club of Tavistock we're in today. Once again, it's all the information here is fake data, but our testing club Tavistock, we've gone through and turned on database integration at Rotary International. Now we need to turn on our integration on our club site. After 24 hours, if you've done all the setup correctly, this yellow box appears that says, let's switch on data integration. If this is not checked, if this is not on, you are not sending your member information, your member and executive information to myrotary.org. I'm going to turn this on. And as you can see, it's fairly quick. Like I just turned that on. Once again, our club, we already went through the steps of going to My Rotary, selecting a database vendor. Once you do that, you never have to do that again. So this is not something you have to do, July 1st when your year starts. So I've turned on data integration and it says the status is read and update. Most of the time, this is the status you want. Read and update is essentially an exchange of information. I make a change on Club Runner, it will go up to RI. I make a change on RI, I can manually bring it down to Club Runner. One of the questions we get is, where should I be making my changes? I added a member on myrotary.org. Why aren't they showing up in Club Runner? We kind of recommend to do the member additions, terminations, edits. We recommend to do that in Club Runner. The process is automatic as you go from club up to district, up to RI. The process is manual as you go down from RI to district to club, meaning you add a member at the club, John Smith, John gets synced to district and RI, done. You add a member at myrotary.org, you can manually bring John's member information down from My Rotary down to district and on the club website. Okay, so saying that, what I want to do is I just want to scroll down a little bit. I want to talk about these two sections. There's some club privacy settings. So your club can choose what information to send to RI. To a degree, you can't choose to send name. You'll see, I can't check or uncheck allow name. We have to send the individual's name. RI needs this minimal piece of information. So there's no choice there. If you have RI integration turned on, the name is going to get sent to RI. You can choose to unselect everything else if you want. So you can choose, I want to send the birthday information to Rotary International, home address, business address, and so on and so forth. You can choose the info that goes to Rotary International. A birthday is usually a setting that some clubs and some members turn off. If it's possible, we do recommend, once again, these are recommendations, we recommend you send this information to myrotary.org. Birthday information is a huge key in demographic information. Is your Rotary club slightly older club, slightly younger club? What's the average age? Without birthday information, we don't know, and RI doesn't know. So if it's possible, check all these boxes, send all this information to Rotary International. It doesn't go to third-party vendors. It doesn't go to marketing company. It only stays between Club Runner and RI. It's spelled out in our contracts. We don't send this information to anybody except Rotary, so it's not going anywhere else. Okay, so please do check these options. Send all the information to Rotary International. Now, we're going to go over this, but the member has control over their individual options as well. So if the club says everybody's birthday info is going to get sent to Rotary.org, an individual member can edit, can edit their member profile, and they can uncheck birthday inside their individual member profile. So please do send all this information. The member has the right to opt out of all these settings as well. Okay, and we'll try to get to that today. I'm going to scroll down. I want to talk about the notification contact. It's not set on purpose. So when everything is running great, that is wonderful. You add a member, it gets sent to district and RI, John Smith is synced, fantastic. Now, when there's issues, when there's a sync error or what have you, um, our system automatically sends an email only about the issues. It doesn't email you and say, hey, John Smith was integrated successfully. If the integration goes through, that's great. But our system will notify you of issues, and it will notify a specific contact in your club. This is where you set that specific contact. If there is no contact here, nobody is set, the notification contact is select automatically, meaning our system will automatically select someone, usually the current year treasurer. If it can't find that, it goes back and looks through all these various, old executives and so on and so forth. Most of the time, you don't really want that. The best way to do this, click on select automatically and choose someone or a position. For example, my club secretary year over year, I'm going to click on secretary right here. Now what that means is that, and if I click save, what that means, my defined club executive for every year, he or she will receive any of the notification emails when there are issues. So it is very important to try to set this contact. Otherwise, if you set it to, nobody, then our system will kind of roll the dice. If they can't find the club secretary, it will go back in time and try and look through all the other executive positions. So please do set your notification contact. It could be a position, for example, the club secretary. It could also be a member. For example, if you have someone who's going to be doing this year over year, then that person will be the notification contact. And I'm just going to choose secretary again. Okay, so we've been talking about the R integration setup. We've been talking about our active member list. I want to take just a little pause. I want to talk about our club executives. Not only do the club membership, that will get synced to Rotary International, but the club executives, your president, secretary, treasurer, so forth, that will also get synced. So I'm going to use the top blue tabs. I'm going to click on organization, and then I'm going to click the first gray link, executives and directors. And it's going to take me here to my club execs and directors for current year. So if RI integration is turned on, this list of execs gets synced to RI. What's important to note is that this list is relatively short. Your club could have 20, 25 positions. I've seen clubs with lots and lots of executive positions, sergeant at arms, PR chair, website administrator. There's a lot of positions these days that that clubs define as club execs or admins. RI looks for these it looks for these particular positions. So president, secretary, executive secretary. If this position is not on the list, it's not being synced with Rotary International. As an example, sergeant at arms does not normally get synced with Rotary International. So you're free to define your sergeant at arms. In fact, you absolutely should if that person is there filling that role, but it doesn't get synced with RI. RI needs these positions in order to do its work for the year. So it is important to define your executive positions, not just for your club. It's important so your club members know. But remember, with integration, your club is not an island. You are sharing all this information with district and with RI. Pardon me. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define my membership share. Okay. So the way to do that is I've come to this list. I'm going to click the blue edit button, and it says, okay, what's the position you're syncing its membership? The title at the club level, pardon me, is called membership chair. And now let's select a member. I'm going to choose Edith Bartel. Okay. I'm going to give you a little hint. Just for those of you who already know this rule, my member Edith or Mr. Bartel, he's honorary. I'm going to define Edith as my membership chair, and I'm going to click save. This is a little Easter egg I'm planting in your mind just for now. But he's just to give you that little hint, he's an honorary member. In Club Runner, we allow it. Let's see what RI says in a little bit. So this is how we, just as we have the active member list, this is your club execs and directors list. So everything here looks to be pretty good. Let's actually start checking out what is syncing between Club Runner and RI. So first of all, let's go look at actually what I want to do is I want to just take another pause because this is all going to build up to the comparisons. I told you about this. Let me go take a step back. I'm going to click on our integration and our integration settings. Okay. And remember I had these series of checkboxes right here. Now I told you every member has this same set of checkboxes that they can choose. This is our club privacy policy. We are sending all information to RI, name and home facts and all that stuff. I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to go to my club runner and I'm going to click on my profile. And what that lets me do is it lets me edit my member profile. You can edit anyone's member profile. Everyone's member profile has these tabs: personal Rotary, biography commitments, settings, and I want to talk about privacy. I want to click on this privacy tab, okay? Now, once again, the beginner membership webinar, we kind of went over what communication preferences are, so I'm not going to talk about that today because I am looking at the clock. So I'm going to scroll down. I want to kind of zero in on this. In the member profile, when you click on this privacy tab, if I scroll down to RI integration privacy settings, I've got those same options as the club opt-in settings. So the club has opted in to everything. I can click edit, I myself being an individual member, and I can say, as an example, don't allow my birthday, and click save. And what I'm doing is I'm saying, don't sync my birthday info with Rotary International. It's got an X now. So every member has the right to opt out of birthdays or any information that they don't wish to send to RI. Now, I also made the case, or tried to make the case, all this information is incredibly invaluable. The more up-to-date and complete the database is, the better data you and all club and district execs will have. So I'm going to click edit. I'm going to opt into sending my birthday again, and I'm going to click save. Okay, because I'm going to send all the information I can to Rotary International, knowing that it doesn't go to third parties or marketers or anything like that, only to Rotary International. Okay, so now that we've kind of got a little understanding of how all these pieces work, let's kind of put the pieces together. The big thing about this is, the big thing about our integration, what's in Club Runner versus what's in Rotary International. That's kind of the key piece to all of this. If all your information is correct and up to date in Club Runner, it should also be correct and up to date in Rotary International. Let's go take a look. I first want to talk about the member compare and synchronize page. I'm going to hover over our integration right here. I'm going to click on our integration and I'm going to click on compare and synchronize. So compare and synchronize. What this page does is it shows us how's the membership in Club Runner versus how's the membership in RI. Let's compare the two, okay? And this first section, this is what the screen looks like. It says RI compare and sync for my club. This is the club's ID. And then who are the members in sync? This is the first table. So what members in sync means is there's a record in Club Runner, a member record or member profile in Club Runner, and there's a member profile in Rotary International. There's one for Edic, for Barnett, for Marcy, for Dawn, for Josephine, and so on. All this means is that the members are synced. They have member records in Club Runner and in RI and a matching member ID, fantastic. If you can get all your members into this members in sync table, that's just doing wonderful. The reason for that, we've gone this far, we haven't really talked about one of the reasons that RI integration exists. Your club website or your club will get billed by RI twice a year, typically around June and then again around December. This bill from RI, it is based on your membership count. If you are in sync, if all the members in Club Runner add up to all the members in RI, then you will not get any surprises on your RI bill. If they're not in sync, and we're going to talk about that right now, if something is out of sync, then your RI bill may not reflect an accurate member count. So let's leave members in sync, knowing that, you know what, all the people in here, they're in good shape at the bare minimum. They have matching member records. Okay, I want to talk about member name mismatches. So the first kind of, I'm going to put it in air quotes, minor issue is a member name mismatch. This is not a major issue. And I'll tell you what that means. When you have a record in Club Runner versus a record in RI, the first or last names, they may not match. Let's take these two examples, Jonathan and John. It's the same person, same member ID. These are member IDs. I know that they're the same member, but what's happening here is in Club Runner, the member's name is Jonathan, but in RI, the member's name is John. The database reports these minor issues and says, I don't know which is correct. What should be the proper name for Jonathan versus John? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to correct these issues. I'm going to take Jonathan and John first. I know that he really likes going by John, right? I've met this member, John Cabin, really nice guy. He was like, you know what, I'm going to go by John. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sync John to Jonathan. And let's talk about that. You can click this blue compare button and you can see what is the difference and how to push the two data sets together. Instead of clicking on compare, I'm going to do something that I really like doing. And this is a bit of a personal preference. You don't have to do it this way. You can absolutely click on compare, and that's fine. I'm going to right click over compare with my mouse, and I'm going to open this link in a new tab. And there's a reason why I like doing it like this. I'm going to open this in a new tab. And now I've got another browser tab right here that is loading. So I'm going to click on this tab. I'm going to cross my fingers because we're in the development environment. So hopefully this tab loads. What this is an individual comparison page. Sorry, I don't mean to alarm anybody. This is slightly expected today. So like I said, the development environment is not 100% stable. We're not in our stable, regular production environment. I'm going to close this. I'm going to just click on compare again. Let's see if maybe it didn't like me right clicking. So I'm going to click compare. Maybe it'll load this page. What this page is, it's an individual comparison of what's in Club Runner versus what's in RI for this member. Second time's a charm. So this is a profile comparison. It's not the whole club. It's not all members. It's only this one member. On the left side is all the information in Club Runner. On the right side is all the corresponding information in Rotary. And you can push and pull information back and forth. Here's how. Remember I said Jonathan, he really likes going by John, and that's, maybe that's on his driver's license or something. So we're going to make Jonathan into John. If there's a green equal sign, you'll see most of these columns, they're just equal, meaning the information is equivalent between Club Runner and RI. There's no discrepancies. His date joined club and Rotary is correct. His home address is correct. All this other information is correct. We want to focus on John here. The arrow denotes what is going to be overwritten. So if the arrow is pointing to John, John is going to be overwritten with Jonathan. I don't want that. I want the reverse. If I click on this arrow with my mouse, see it changes to a blue arrow. Now we're going to point to what's being overwritten. Jonathan will be overwritten with John. That's what I want. That's what the member wants. I shouldn't say that's what I want. You should ask the member. this is what the member wants his name to be. He wants it to be John. So I'm going to click the blue arrow. It's going to point to Jonathan. And then I can do anything else. If anything else is not equivalent, I can click the arrow. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click on Synchronize the selected fields. It says, are you sure? I'm going to click OK. All right. And then what's going to happen is it's going to take whatever arrow direction is pointing and it's going to sync the info. So it's going to take John and it's going to put it on top of Jonathan. And as you can see, the member's name is now John. There is no longer a member name mismatch for John. Let me scroll up. I'm going to click on back to RI compare and sync. It's going to go back here. Now, members in sync, just for the sake of, basically for the sake of time, we're going to ignore. So I'm going to scroll past members in sync. And now you'll see member name mismatches. There's only one. We fixed or we addressed Jonathan. I think addressed is a better word. One thing to note for these minor mismatches, if the next person we're going to address is Janet, right? If you do nothing, the member profile still exists in Club Runner and Rotary International. So if you choose not to take this action, your bill will still be accurate for the end of the year. We really ask that you, if it's possible, to change and sync all this information. Like I said, these little things, they do count. So what we're going to do is let's just try to fix Janet. Janet got married. She got married to Mr. Bob Smith, and now she's using a hyphenate. So now she used to be Janet DeCamber, but now she's Janet DeCamber -Smith. And that is the last name she wants. She input this into Club Runner. And what happened is this: her Wi-Fi dropped, the sync didn't occur, there was some issues with the computer. So there's all kinds of reasons for a RI sync issue. The majority of the time, the RI sync is going to happen without issue. In fact, 99 out of 100 times, usually, Janet just changes her last name in Club Runner, and it'll automatically push to Rotary International for whatever reason. And we're going to look over some of those reasons next. But for whatever reason, her last name did not change. So we're going to manually sync this information. I'm not going to right click because the system doesn't like that. I'm going to click on compare. Okay, and still cross my fingers because let's see if it loads. I want to load the member profile comparison page for Janet. Her name is DeCamber Smith. This is what she wants, that she just got married recently. This is the name she's now using. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down and you can see once again, here's the mismatch. In Club Runner, it's correct. In RI, it's her old last name, her maiden name. Okay, this is what I want. So the arrow is going to point always to what is being overwritten. I want to overwrite DeCamber with DeCamber Smith. Okay, and so I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click compare. I'm sorry, synchronize selected fields. It says, are you sure? And then it's going to sync the data. Okay, and what's going to happen is now her correct or her chosen last name is going to show up now. This is actually good. I'm glad this happened. Sometimes our integration is not always instant. It can take a little bit of time. Sometimes the reason for this, if a human on RI's database side, if a human at the RI database needs to check something or confirm something, it can take up to 24 hours for sync. It doesn't happen that much, but every once in a while, I am actually glad this popped up. You have to wait a little bit. So the sync will go through. You just have to wait a bit of time. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to click back to RI compare and synchronize. And let's talk, we talked about these minor issues. I'm going to scroll down. Let's see if Janet is gone. Okay, she's not gone yet. Like I said, though, the system might take 24 hours. We're going to leave this for now, let the system do its work. Let's talk about members missing in RI. So this is now, quote unquote, a major issue. When I say major, there's a sync issue happening here, which is Mickey is a great name, by the way. Mickey is in Club Runner. He's listed as active, but he's not in Rotary International. This little dash denotes that there's no matching member record for Mickey. So once again, the club secretary or whoever, membership chair, logged into the club website, added in Mickey, their internet dropped or Wi-Fi or whatever issues might have happened. And Mickey did not get synced to RI. Once again, this is an issue only. If it successfully went through, you would not see any of this. So for whatever reason, Mickey didn't sync with RI. Now, normally, usually, you can click this, add member to RI, and what it'll say is, oh, okay, let's just reattempt the sync. And that's great. There is one caveat. This is, by the way, the date the member was added. What is really important is not so much when they were added, but the date they joined the club. I'm going to edit Mickey's profile, okay? I'm going to click on his name, and I want to show you the specific field that is really important in these cases. Sometimes you're going to click Add Member to RI, and it will say the member's date joined club does not fall within RI's 30-day rule. That was a lot in one sentence there. Let's go see what I'm talking about. So I'm editing Mickey. I'm going to click on Rotary, his Rotary tab. I'm going to scroll down. The date joined Rotary, we're actually basically going to ignore. The date joined Rotary, when did that person first become a Rotarian ever? It could have been 5 years ago, 20 years ago. Some people have been members for up to 50 years in Rotary. Right? So the date joined Rotary we kind of disregard, or we just say, okay, that's wonderful that they've been a Rotarian for so long. The date joined club must be within 30 days of today's date in order for the member profiles to sync. So today is actually, it happens to be the date of the webinar, May 16th. There's no problem with syncing this. In fact, all the way back to May 1st or end of April, not a problem. What if the date join club was, I don't know, February 1st, 2022, as an example? That is outside the 30-day date range. It will not sync with Rotary International because RI, their 30-day rule at RI dictates that this date joined club, not date joined Rotary, but date joined club must be within 30 days. So one way to do this is to click edit, change this to a date within 30 days of today's date, sync the person, come back, edit it again, and change it back to what it was. Let's say it was February 1st, and then send an email or do the same thing on RI, log into myrotary.org and change the person's date join club. I know you might be thinking that's kind of a bit of work. Once again, this is RI's rule. We must follow RI's rule, otherwise the information will not sync. So I want to make you aware of that, and I'm gonna scroll up and click on RI integration, compare and synchronize. His Mickey's date join club is May 16th. There's no problem with his date join club. I'm gonna scroll down. Okay. Now something interesting happened here. I'm gonna scroll down. The first section is members in sync. Here's all my members in sync. What happened to my name mismatch? Remember, there's that 24-hour delay, that 24-hour maximum. Usually it's hopefully within a couple minutes. If I scroll up, I can actually see Janet DeCamber Smith is synced. There's no more name mismatch. This is her last name in Club Runner and in RI. She's an active member, so everything is good with Janet. So in the background while we were discussing the next member, Janet has now gone into sync. Let me scroll down. Let me take care of Mickey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add member to RI knowing that his date join club is May 16th. So I'm just going to click yes. And then it says, you sure you want to do that? I'm going to click OK. And so what we're doing is we're reattempting the sync attempt. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Let's see if it takes effect right away. So it doesn't. He's still here. Should I keep clicking this button? No. Remember I mentioned that sometimes it can take a bit of time. Our integration is not always instant. So please do be a bit patient. I know we're kind of used to things happening very, very quickly these days, but these are two databases talking to each other and verifying information. It can take sometimes a bit of extra time. just to sync this info. I've already clicked add member to RI. I'm going to, just as I did for Janet, I'm going to leave Mickey alone. I'm going to scroll down. I want to talk about the last section here, members missing in Club Runner. Okay. So this is the inverse of this. So members missing in RI means there's a member in Club Runner that is not in RI. Members missing in Club Runner means there's a member at Rotary International, Miss Monica Bradley, who is not in Club Runner. See, in RI, the type is member, but in Club Runner, the type is dash. She's not in Club Runner right now. So one way this can happen is, remember we talked about those 3 levels, right? Club, district, and myrotary.org. One way this can occur is you input, let's say Monica is a new member, right? Or in this case, she might need not even be a new member. She joined months ago, right? In 2021, that information was input at myrotary.org. And remember, you have to manually bring that information down into club and district if you do it at myrotary.org. Now let's actually do that. So there's nothing wrong with Monica's information. She's got a member ID. She's been verified as a member at RI since December 2021. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click this add member to Club Runner button. I'm not going to do any typing. I'm just going to click this button. It's going to take all as much information as it can from my Rotary. It's just going to create a member profile for Monica. Let's do that. I'm going to click add member to Club Runner. It says okay. I'm going to click OK, and now it's going to take the info from my Rotary. It's going to generate a member profile for Monica. Once again, if it's possible, please do be slightly patient with this process. It is 2 very large databases talking to each other live as you're on the spot. So, you know, it might not process right away. So in fact, I'm going to scroll down. Let's just see if it processed instantly. Okay, it processed instantly. So we got lucky with Monica. And in fact, you'll notice if I scroll up and down this page, we kind of achieved what we wanted to, at least for this page. All members are in this table called members in sync. I'm going to scroll down. Okay, and I'm going to keep going to the end of this page. Here's the bottom. There's no member name mismatches, RM member types. Everybody's in sync. And this is phenomenal. If you can get your club members into this kind of shape, you do not have to worry about RI's bill and in June and in December. And just another, I guess, reason, you're helping the district and you're helping myrotary.org because you're telling them about your membership. Remember, the club is not an island. You are giving this information to district and RI so that they can then run their numbers and do their work too. So you're not just doing this for you, you're doing this for the good of the district and RI as well. Okay, so I want to scroll up, and what I want to talk about is the member updates archive. So this is a compare and sync page, and as you can see, we've kind of been most of the time the sync occurs and automatically in the background. There can be issues. Well, boy, I sure wish there was a log of everything that's happening, and there is. It's called the members update archive. So I've already clicked on our integration. We're already in this section. Now I want to explore this 3rd gray button, members update archive. What this is a list of all the membership changes that have happened over time. Someone updates their address, their phone number, they get married, for example, for Janet. So everything that happens, it gets logged, and you can see what's going on now. What I'm going to do, I'm actually zoomed in a little bit on my browser. I'm going to zoom out just a bit. It's going to make the text a little bit smaller. I apologize, but I just want to make sure you can see all these columns, right? And I know it's slightly harder because I've made the text a little bit smaller. So I'll just describe to you name. This is the member's name. What is the type? What happened here? I added a new member, Mickey Dean. When was this attempted? What was the status? Was RI who was notified, who did it. I'm logged in as myself. I'm logged in as my user Vincent today, and then more details. So that's what all this means. It's essentially a log of everything that's happening, that's going on today. I'm sorry, I said today, that everything that's going on over a period of time. I can go back in time. So just as an example, I added a member, I don't know, let's say I added them in August or something. So if I click here, I can actually choose a date range. I can go August 2021, okay? And then I'm going to do maybe September 2021, okay? Now, I actually did something by accident, but I'm glad I did that. I said the word August here. Why didn't this change? Because I did it by accident. I'm kind of glad I did now. Let's just say I didn't do it by accident. I did it on purpose, just to say, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go to August, and I'm going to go to 2021. That's not enough. I have to click an individual date, right? If I actually click away, it actually won't save. You must click the month, the year, and an individual date for the date selector to choose that. So I'm going to click August 1st, 2021. See how that changed? So yeah, there you go. There was my intentional mistake. So August to September, I want all activities, all members, what happened. If I click show, I can get a log of all the things that were happening, or all the member changes that were happening in the month of August. And you can see that, you know, there weren't that many, but you can kind of get a log of all the activities. It's really useful when you're trying to figure out what happened. You know what, I added this member and they didn't get synced. You can come here, you can check the logs, okay? I'm looking at the clock because I can tell I'm already over time. I want to give Zach some Q&A time. I am going to talk about the executive compare and synchronize page. I'd love to spend a little bit more time here, but I want to make sure we cover some of this. The compare and synchronize page, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger now. The compare and synchronize page is for the membership compare and sync. Now let's talk about the executive compare and sync. Okay, what this does, who are the executives in Club Runner? And Club Runner is always on the left side. Who are the executives on RI, which is always on the right side? So right now, there's a couple executives that have been synced. My president, secretary, treasurer, they synced. That's what this green equal sign means. Fantastic. I don't have to worry about them. But here's some people who have not synced. Dean, Edic, and then Merchant. They're not in sync. So what I'm going to do is, and like I said, the reasons are various. Maybe the Wi-Fi dropped, etc. So the attempts just didn't go through. So we're going to try and go through again. So I'm going to check this box. Remember, the arrow is overwriting something. This is blank. I actually want blank to be overwritten with Don Cheadle's. I want blank to be overwritten with Edic. And I want blank to be overwritten with Merchant. So you can, hopefully the direction of the arrows makes sense to you by now. Okay, so that's what I want. I'm going to check these three boxes because these are my the three things I'm going to attempt to sync again. And I'm going to click on Synchronize Selected Positions. It says, are you sure you want to take the info from the other side of the database and sync them together? I'm going to click OK. And hopefully it will push the information back and forth. Scroll down. Let's see what happens. Okay. Merchant synced. Don did not, and Edic did not. Now, there can be various reasons. For Don, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to let it process for a second. I do want to talk about Edic because I can actually tell you why Edic did not sync, and I gave you the Easter egg when I added Edic in. Edic is an honorary member. So any honorary members in your club or Club Runner website, they are not going to sync as an into an executive position at myrotary.org. This is once again an RI mandate. It is something we must follow because we are a licensed vendor of Rotary International. So if the member is honorary, they can't have, and once again, I'm going to use my fingers to put in air quotes, they can't have an official executive position, such as honorary members can't be secretaries, treasurers, membership chairs. Honorary members can be this special position, executive secretary / director. This is not exactly the same as the club secretary. So the club secretary is an official position. This is technically, the executive secretary is technically an official position, but unlike club secretary, treasurer, president, so forth, it can be populated with an honorary member, or it can even be populated with a non-member. We haven't really got into it today, but your club can have what's called other users. Please do see the beginner integration, the beginner membership management webinar if you're not sure what our other user is. In a nutshell, an other user is an unofficial member of your club. For example, a staff member, an administrator, someone you've hired to help you do the bookkeeping, whatever. So they can hold this special position, executive secretary. They don't even have to be a member. They can be honorary or what have you. So EDIC would sync if they were in the executive secretary position. They're not going to sync, or EDIC will just not sync as a club membership chair because he's not honorary. Okay. Now I know there's a couple more things I can talk about, at least in this section. I want to go and actually, you know what I'll do is I might have to just, yeah, we did a pretty decent overview. Now, I just want to make sure that I'm giving Zach some time for Q&A. I know I'm over time here. So what
You're all good on my end, Mickey. If you need to keep going for a few more minutes, I'm good.
All right, I'll keep going just for a little bit longer. Like I said, and I also want to make sure that for all of you who stayed this far, thank you very much for your patience. So what I'm going to do is let's try to fix EDIC. So club membership chair, I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to go to organization. I'm going to click on executives and directors. Let's see what we can do about EDIC. So first of all, with EDIC, I'm going to click edit for the membership chair position where EDIC is. And I'm going to choose an active member. I know that, where's Marcy? I know Marcy is an active member. I'm going to click save. And so basically all I did is I changed the member. So now Marcy is our membership chair. She's an active member. Okay. So I'm going to go up to our integration, executive, compare, and synchronize. Okay. I'm going to scroll down. All right. And let's try the sync again. I'm doing things very quickly. It didn't quite sync. In fact, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to uncheck. Now you'll notice, remember I kind of left Don Cheadle's alone. I kind of left Don Cheadle's alone to work in the background. See how we synced? I clicked on sync once. It didn't go through. Give it some time. Like I said, patience is a virtue here. Give the time for the databases to talk to each other. Don is in sync now. I don't have to worry. In sync meaning he's defined as a foundation chair and club runner as well as an RI. Now Marcy is a membership chair in club runner. She's sort of synced. Now this seems like an unusual error because she's actually there on both sides. So what I'm going to do is this. In these kinds of cases, reload or refresh. So I'm going to scroll up to the top. I already clicked on our integration. I'm going to click on executive, compare, and synchronize. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Now, I didn't do anything. I didn't click on synchronize selected positions, but remember that whole patience is a virtue thing. It does pay off here. I went from one page to the next very, very quickly. In fact, I went so fast, the databases were still kind of talking to each other. So once I gave it a couple of seconds, the databases finished syncing all the info. Marcy is good, Don is good, everyone on this list is good. There's equal signs all the way down, except for maybe some of the positions. Maybe you just don't have someone to fill that position. That's perfectly fine. So we're in sync. I'm going to, I am going to pause it here, or I'm going to end it here. I do want to make sure to say that our integration is very broad, large topic. I hope we didn't throw too much info at you today. It was designed, though, to have a lot of topics here today on purpose. And we do have, first of all, this session will be recorded, so you'll be able to review this at your own time. And then also, as a resource, I'm going to go back to this middle tab, clubrunnersupport.com. I'm going to scroll up. Now, if you're looking for an RI integration video, what if you typed in RI integration video? You can find that we actually have more than one. Well, like I said, our integration can be a larger topic. So please do view our videos, view our articles, and then, if there's any questions, please do email or call us. We'd love to field your questions. And with that, I am going to let Zach take over for Q&A. Thank you very much for hanging in with me today.
Thank you so much, Mickey. All right, let me go ahead and take over control here. Just waiting. There we go. All right. All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen now and I've taken over control. Once again, Mickey, thank you so much for your presentation. We had a handful of good questions, and I'm gonna start with some of our classic questions that always come up. And I know Mickey definitely went over this in some detail, but just to really reinforce this process, one of our most common questions is, why did the changes that I make at Rotary International not come back down into Club Runner? And it's really important to remember that the Club Runner Rotary International integration service is only automatic in one way. When you make changes in Club Runner, those changes are automatically sent up to Rotary International, usually fairly quickly. And once those changes are done, if there's an error, you guys would be alerted, but by far, in most cases, the syncs go through and the issues are resolved and everything is good to go. Now, on the opposite end, if you do make those changes over at Rotary International, and in some limited cases when you can't make the changes, we can't make those changes automatically. If those changes are made to My Rotary directly, they do not automatically come back into Club Runner. But for changes, for most changes, you should be able to return to Club Runner and use tools like our Compare and Synchronize or Executive Compare and Synchronize to update information in Club Runner, either pulling those changes down or syncing them back into Club Runner. In some limited cases, you will only be able to make those changes. You'll have to manually repeat those changes. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is however it works for your club or district is how it works for you guys. So if you prefer going to myrotary.org, making changes and coming back into Club Runner to sync that data down or repeat them in some cases, or you prefer to use Club Runner to make those changes and let the integration service carry them through, it is your choice, and whatever works for you is what works for your club. So just keep in mind that, again, if you make changes directly at My Rotary, they just don't automatically flow back into Club Runner. And if you make changes in Club Runner, the greater majority of those changes will automatically flow up to Rotary International and be accepted. So just to touch on the last thing that Mickey was talking about while he was waiting for those changes, a page that we usually don't touch on too often in our RI integration webinars is our updates queue. And the typical reason we don't touch on them that much is that usually within about a minute to maybe 5 minutes most days, any of those changes that you've sent up have already been processed. There are exceptions to that, but they should be very rare. Every now and again, we get a backlog, or if from time to time, Rotary International, for example, may have maintenance over the weekend or for a specific period of time. And during those times, we will disable the integration service from our end to make sure that those changes that can't be processed don't get processed or attempt to be processed. And once the maintenance is over, or the issue is resolved, we turn that integration service back on and it'll process all the updates. We can actually see right here that Edict Bartel's executive position change is still not going through. And to talk about that in a little bit more depth, for every integration event that we have, updating your club information, adding members, terminating members, changing their status, updating your meeting and any of your club contact details and all of the member updates details, we attempt to make those changes with Rotary at least 3 times. This is just to prevent, if there's any communication issues or we can't get a connection, we do hold them and we'll keep processing them 3 times. Typically, there's a small delay between each attempt. I think it's about 5 to 10 minutes. And I mean, in some cases, it's not even that long. But once we attempt to process that attempt at least 3 times, and all 3 times fail or the message doesn't change, it will be logged as a failure in the member updates archive. So just here, we can actually see that Edict Bartel, we are having a problem terminating them for their replacement. And once that issue has been resolved, or in the most likely case here, once that issue fails entirely, it will be logged in the log and the administrator would get a notice about it. But for any reason, if you guys are curious, hey, what the heck's going on with that change I attempted to make, coming into the updates queue at the club level will let you get an insight into that information. Typically, in our development environment, as Mickey has been talking about, is a little bit slower. It's not as fast as our production services because it's really only for our testing. So some of these might be being processed a little bit slower than normal. So Bruce L. asked a really great question towards the beginning of the webinar, and he's asked which executives can manage the RI sync. So straightforwardly, for the club level, rather, anyone who has access level 50 or better automatically receives access to these integration services and the majority of the settings here. So that means if you are a level 30, which is a site administrator, a level 40, which is the club president role, or level 50, which is a club executive role. This is, of course, in the context of the club level account. If for any reason you are using your district account or you are a district administrator, your access to these settings would be based on your district access rights. So at the district level, the member of the club needs to be assigned as a club officer. So that's the president, secretary, treasurer. Any of the positions that the district is configured as an executive will have the ability to manage their own club integration services and settings. All of the district administrators and club information editors at the district level also have access. The club information editors have access to manage their own club's database integration status, and the district administrators and membership managers have access to manage the district-wide integration for all clubs. And just one extra special note for the districts, which wasn't the topic here, but when a club is a subscriber, only they can manage their own integration settings. And if for some reason there's a pinch or there's having a problem, you as the district or even the club officers can reach out to our team. So just to re-clarify that, at the club level, you need to be a level 30, a level 40, or a level 50 member. That's the access level that you need to have assigned to access anything as part of the RI integration services, executives and director appointments, and all the membership management. The next question that I had was from Linda D. She asks if a member, or I'm assuming there, I apologize, if they ask if a member rejoins a club after reassigning for a time, or there's a gap in time when transferring club, which joined Rotary date should be used. For confirmation, the only date when you guys are rejoining a member or to your own club, or a member has transferred over a long period of time, you should use the date joined club, and that should be set to the accurate club join date. Rotary International is actually in the integration service and with how everything works, only Rotary International is actually allowed to assign a Rotary join date, and that will be based on the member's ID. So if you're transferring a member, it should be brought over as part of their information. If a brand new member is joining your organization and they've never been a Rotarian before, they will automatically get a Rotary join date. So the only thing you need to specify is the club join date, and that should be the date they're joining your club. Another question that comes up quite frequently for our integration webinars, just related to the privacy settings, is does changing these privacy options automatically send or remove the data from Rotary International? And to confirm for everyone here, updating any of these privacy settings only the effect is immediate. So if I disable birthday and hit update privacy, going forward, no more birthday data will be sent to Rotary International, and we will prevent it from being synced down from Rotary as well. However, any data that is already stored at Rotary will not be removed, and any data that was already in Club Runner will no longer be sent. But the reverse is true. So if I update, if we for the longest time had the birthdays off and I now hit update privacy, making that change doesn't send over all of the data we already have in the system. It only allows new information to flow up. So just keep that in mind. And changing these options only permits the data to flow or not flow. It doesn't send or pull or remove data automatically based on you changing its status. A second item that I always like to comment on the integration privacy settings, if it's been a little while since the last time you guys have looked at these, we strongly recommend checking in and making sure the values that your club has opted in are working for you. A really good thing to reevaluate is if you've opted out of some information, for example, maybe birthdays, home address, or really any of the values, and it's been a while since you've had a conversation with your club, it's a good time to bring it up in a meeting and ask who has objections or problems with any of these data points. If a large majority of the club is okay with that information sent, we strongly recommend allowing the option to be enabled. The reason why is if for any reason the club chooses to opt out of something, individual members cannot override that choice. So again, I'm going to use the birthday example here. I'm going to go ahead and update the privacy. And logging into, I'm going to go over to my members profile. And that will take a moment to load there. All right, so here we've got Vincent, and we're going to pull up the privacy tab. And here you can see that allow birthdays club opted out. I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. And once the edit page loads, you will see that the club has opted out of birthdays. And despite my wanting for that information to be able to go up to Rotary International, I can't choose that because the club has opted out. That wouldn't stop me from returning to my Rotary and manually updating some of that information myself, but it would stop me from using Club Runner to do that same thing. So that is always why we really strongly suggest that the club opts in as much data as possible. And if individual members have objections, for example, if I was uncomfortable in the future with Rotary having my home address, I can uncheck that option and hit save. As long as the club doesn't opt out of it, I can still make that choice. So empowering your users is a really great option, and reviewing those privacy settings is also good. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe you have too much being shared. Maybe you don't have enough. Definitely a good topic for a club or board meeting to discuss with the officers. So Bruce had a really good question here in the chat as we were talking. He mentioned this isn't exactly on Rotary integration, but he also touches on a related subject. So I'm going to go ahead and indulge him. Bruce has asked, some positions on the executive compare do not appear to be selected. On the club executives and directors page, club public image chair is not available to be picked and assigned, only public relations. So in this very specific case, at least for Bruce and his district, it sounds like they may not have configured those positions yet. So for confirmation, the district that I'm in, and Rotary Club of Tavistock here is in Rotary District 7080, their district has configured these positions, and not only have they configured them, they've already linked them up. But we can see that the club public image chair is still not available in this list of list of positions that are available. We do see that there is a public relations, but that's not the same as the club public image chair. To just confirm this, the reason why you are unable to set the club image chair twice, or really any officer position, for example, you guys can see that the president has been set, but I don't have another role that's called president, is club executive positions can only be filled once, and this is in part to help the Rotary International Integration Service. A question that we definitely get more frequently lately has been related to, can I have 2 officers in the same position at the same time? And to answer that is no. Rotary only allows a single individual to fulfill a role in the club for any period of time. So if you have 2 different officers, or that's what your club has decided, you can't record that at Rotary International fully. You can set that up in Club Runner, but you won't be able to have 2 people in those same positions at the same time. So just to get back to the beginning of that question from Bruce, for any reason, if anyone here watching the webinar or watching this in the future, if you don't have these 7 positions, I think there's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, there's more than 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. If these 8 positions are not available for your specific club or district, reaching out to our team, we will work with either you, if your district is not a subscriber, directly to help get that set up, or if when your district is a subscriber, we'll work with the district directly to help get that resolved. But the district does control the positions that are available, and the 2 newest positions are the Service Projects Chair and Club Public Image Chair. These are brand new positions, only tracked at the beginning of the 2021-22 Rotary year. So these are brand new. Not that your club may not have had them in the past, but Rotary only started tracking them most recently. I've got one more good question that comes up pretty frequently. And then I think that's going to be the end of the Q&A, unless anyone else has something in to sneak in at the end. So my last common question is, if we report the president-elect in Club Runner, does that report to Rotary as they will be the president for the next year? And the answer to that is no. Club Runner and by extension Rotary only tracks 1 position per year. So when you say someone is the president-elect, that is not automatically reported to Rotary. Rotary doesn't track the president-elect, they track the president for that year. So if we had defined our president for 22-23, they would be recorded at Rotary International as the president for that year. So we can see Don Cheadles has been reported as the president for the 22-23 year. And if we wanted to sync that over, we could check the checkbox and synchronize the selected fields. But let's see what, if any, officer we have defined as the club president for 21-22. We don't. So let's make Don also the president-elect here, just for my own my own methods here. Let's see. So there's Donald Cheadles. We'll go ahead and save. So Don is now also reported as the president-elect of this year, just for merrymaking. And then we can go into the upcoming year. We see Donald is here, and it matches now in both systems. We have him as our president-elect and our president. So returning to the executive compare and synchronize, I can push that information for the upcoming year. And I check that checkbox and synchronize selected positions. On that very last note, if for any reason you do have a, situation where you have a co-presidents or co-secretaries, and your club doesn't have this executive secretary, executive director role fulfilled, that can be a really great way to help work around that limitation that you can only have the club president and there's only one of them. Just note that it is a completely separately tracked position at Rotary, but the really nice thing is this executive secretary director position also has a lot of access at myrotary.org, allowing them to perform a lot of the same functions. We do have lots of clubs who use an actual executive secretary director as either a staff member or a volunteer, depending on the circumstances. And it does help provide a lot of year-to-year consistency with how things should be structured, because this person is always there. But again, it does give a lot of additional access. It makes them an officer at Rotary International for your club, allowing them a lot more access than they would have normally. Let's go ahead and refresh the page here and just make sure that sync went through. And it did. And we can actually see that they are the full year president because we have defined them for the upcoming year. All right, with all of that said, I think that is everything. So Mickey, I am going to go ahead and hand it back over to you to close us out.
Thank you, Zach. All right, so that was great. Thank you to everyone. Sorry, my lighting changed a little. The sun came out. Um, Thank you to everyone who attended today's webinar. We went a little long. It happens with this webinar. This is like I said, a pretty large, broad topic. I want to thank Zach today for the excellent Q&A, and I especially want to thank all of our attendees, even to those who couldn't make it. Just one last time, everything is being recorded. Let me just put this up. Actually, it's if you go to, I'm sorry, I already see it's already up here. If you go to clubrunnercommunity.com, we will be posting all of these videos onto clubrunnercommunity.com either by end of May or beginning of June. So all these presentations, all these webinars, the recordings will be, you'll be able to view them there. So please do go check them out. Like I said, there's a ton of information being shared over this entire month of May. It's all going to be made available to you, to all club members at clubrunnercommunity.com. Clubrunnercommunity.com is also our online messaging board. So if you would like to get in touch with other Rotarians from all over the world, Australia and Sweden and so forth, please do post. You'll get some fantastic responses from some really conscientious members all over the world. And I do want to mention the mobile app, clubrunner.com/mobile is, if you haven't already tried it, it's our free mobile app, free for Android, free for iPhone. All you need is your club member name and your login information, your login name and password, either club or district. Please do try it out if you haven't tried it already. It's your club directory on the go. You'll probably have your phone in your pocket wherever you go anyways. It's a great way to have access to all your club information. With that, I'm going to end today's webinar. Thank you so much for staying late. I hope all of you have a wonderful day and take care, everyone.